Jontay Porter of the Toronto Raptors has generated a lot of headlines this week due to a gambling scandal. I would say possible scandal that he was involved in which he allegedly bet money on himself in 2 games this year. So that's what's caught everybody's attention, is that he could have possibly made money off of betting on himself, like literally betting on himself. The way the bets worked was that there was a certain stat line he had to meet for 2 of these games that he's under investigation for, in which he betted on himself, that he had to reach a certain stat line. For example, I'm just going to give an example how that bet works. Let's say that there was a bet that he had to reach 4 points, 4 rebounds, and like 1 assist, and that they were either for over or under. So in this case, Jontay picked the under, that he would not meet that stat line. And he did not meet the stat line that was put on the books for both of those games. And allegedly, he made a lot of money off of just betting under for those 2 games for himself. There's one game where I think it's very suspicious, the most recent game in which he's accused of betting on himself, which was March 20th against the Sacramento Kings, I believe, in which he took himself early out of the game due to having an eye injury. That's what he claimed, that he had an eye injury, and took himself out of the game early. That caught a lot of attention. But there's one thing that is true about Jontay, is that he has a Twitter account in which he's talked about for years about his betting and trading. So he's no stranger to that. He's talked about it. There was one tweet, I believe, in 2022 in which he bragged about winning money from the NCAA tournament in 2022 off of a parlay. That's out there. He's also been a guy who likes to trade a lot, which is legal when it comes to stock options. There's nothing illegal about that, but he's posted that a lot too. So I view stock option trading like gambling. It's very similar to me. There's not too much of a difference. I've engaged in stock option trading. It's very similar to gambling in my eyes. So there is a case that he could be into gambling, that he could be a big time gambler, I would say. The other thing that was suspicious was the most recent game, the game against the Kings. Someone revealed on the platform X that there was a winning ticket in which a person had bet $80,000 on Jontay to meet the under, and they ended up getting $1.2 million. You wonder who that person could be. Who would bet $80,000 on just a random scrub role player in Jontay not to meet the over? Just who would be brave enough to bet that money? It just does not make any sense. Maybe there's a person out there crazy enough to throw $80,000 on Jontay meeting the under, but that to me is just strange. Some people have joked around that it was Jontay Porter who bet the $80,000 on him not meeting that under, and then netting in like $1.2 million. So that's very, very suspicious, I would say. Those 2 games, the 2 games that he's accused of, the one on January 26th, March 20th, generated a lot of interest, which is abnormal. That's what these sports books such as DraftKings have reported. Now, do I believe that Jontay did bet on himself? Yes, I do. It's too strange. Just thinking about it, that someone would bet that much money on a scrub player meeting the under. It just doesn't make any sense. Sure, it could be somebody randomly could have done that, but most likely it's Jontay, that he literally lived up to the saying, bet on yourself. I definitely believe he did. Also, you look at his history of bragging about gambling on his X account, also known as Twitter. I always get those things mixed up now, but he's been online bragging about in the past winning money by gambling, and so he's big on that. So yes, I do believe he is the one who probably bet on himself. I definitely think so. But the key is, how do you prove it? Do you have a ticket in his name that he put on himself? Or did he give someone the money to bet on himself that he knew that's close to him in his circle that did bet on him, but the ticket wasn't in his name, it was in someone else's name. So that's where it gets very sketchy on how do you prove that. You really would have to be able to prove it. But I definitely believe that old saying, where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm interested to see if the NBA can prove that he did bet on himself. I think he did, but you have to have that concrete proof, whether it's a ticket in his name or you could prove that he had someone else bet on him to hide that he was the actual one gambling. That person took out the ticket in that person's name instead of his, but you have to have proof somehow that you can prove that. So I don't know how they're going to do that. I do think he did gamble. I definitely do believe that. But like I said, it comes down to proving that he did it. That's one thing we'll have to see and wait. I look at this guy's career earnings, so that's one thing I want to put on the side, is that so far throughout his career, he's made a little bit over $2.3 million. Then you factor in this year, he's getting paid $400,000. With proper money management, he could be set in a good place right now and wouldn't have to rely on gambling. But that shows you how gambling is addictive, and it can make you very compulsive, that you're just not thinking right. So if he does get busted for gambling, no one should have any empathy for this guy. He made already a good amount of money in which he could have invested properly and done it the right way instead of doing what he did. So it'll definitely be interesting if he gets caught for it. And if he does get busted for this gambling, I definitely believe the NBA is going to make an example out of him, because they have to discourage other players from doing these types of things, or otherwise they could have an epidemic on their hands, a gambling epidemic with players in the league. So I definitely expect a harsh punishment, possibly a lifetime ban. If not a lifetime ban, a long suspension that could be over a season. I'll say this, he made a terrible mistake if he gets caught, because he was a scrub fringe role player when you look at his numbers. Nothing spectacular, but a guy who was just hanging in there. So that's all I have to say about this.